Unlike many legends whose origins have been lost in the mists of time, we know exactly when and where the story of Atlantis first appeared. The story was first told in two of Plato's dialogues, the Timaeus and the Critias, written about 330 BC. Though today Atlantis is often conceived of as a peaceful utopia, the Atlantis that Plato described in his fable was very different. Plato said, "Atlantis is not a place to be honored or emulated at all. Atlantis is not the perfect society. Quite the contrary, Atlantis is the embodiment of a materially wealthy, technologically advanced, and militarily powerful nation that has become corrupted by its wealth, sophistication, and might." The first map of Atlantis was drawn by Athanasius Kircher. In 1664, Athanasius Kircher decided to create a map of Atlantis. As his biographer John Edward Fletcher explains, the idea behind the map was to validate a weird, larger theory about the Earth. In medieval thought, the Earth had a soul and a body, Fletcher writes. The sea, with its tides, flowed into the body of the Earth and out again, like water in the gills of a fish. If the Earth had a body, Kircher reasoned, then it needed a skeleton to protect itself, and he figured mountain ranges could serve that purpose. For Earth's skeleton to be complete, certain submerged mountain systems had to be included, and there were spots along many meridians where it made sense to put an island. All that led Kircher to resurrect the myth of Atlantis as proof of his theory. Despite its clear origin in fiction, many people over the centuries have claimed that there must be some truth behind the myths, speculating about where Atlantis would be found. Countless Atlantis experts have located the lost continent all around the world based on the same set of facts. Candidates each accompanied by its own peculiar sets of evidence and arguments include the Atlantic Ocean, Antarctica, Bolivia, Turkey, Germany, Malta, and the Caribbean. Plato, however, is crystal clear about where Atlantis is, for the ocean there was at that time navigable, for in front of the mouth which you Greeks call, as you say, the Pillars of Heracles, i.e., Hercules, there lay an island which was larger than Libya and Asia together. In other words, it lies in the Atlantic Ocean beyond the Pillars of Hercules, i.e., the Straits of Gibraltar, at the mouth of the Mediterranean. Yet it has never been found in the Atlantic, or anywhere else. The most obvious sign that Atlantis is a myth is that no trace of it has ever been found despite advances in oceanography and ocean floor mapping in past decades. For nearly 2 millennia, readers could be forgiven for suspecting that the vast depths might somehow hide a sunken city or continent. Though there remains much mystery at the bottom of the world's oceans, it is inconceivable that the world's oceanographers, submariners, and deep-sea probes have somehow missed a landmass larger than Libya and Asia together. Furthermore, plate tectonics demonstrate that Atlantis is impossible, as the continents have drifted, the seafloor has spread over time, not contracted. There would simply be no place for Atlantis to sink into. As Ken Feder notes, the geology is clear. There could have been no large land surface that then sank in the area where Plato places Atlantis. Together, modern archaeology and geology provide an unambiguous verdict: there was no Atlantic continent, there was no great civilization called Atlantis. Donnelly, an American politician, had come to the belief that Plato's story represented actual historical fact. He located Atlantis in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, suggesting the Azores Islands represented what remained of the highest mountain peaks. Donnelly said he had studied zoology and geology and had come to the conclusion that civilization itself had begun with the Atlanteans and had spread out throughout the world as the Atlanteans established colonies in places like ancient Egypt and Peru. Donnelly's book became a worldwide bestseller, but researchers could not take Donnelly's theories seriously as he offered no proof for his ideas. As time went on, it became obvious that Donnelly's theories were faulty. Modern scientific surveys of the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean shows it is covered with a blanket of sediment that must have taken millions of years to accumulate. There is no sign of a sunken island continent. Ignatius Donnelly was certain of his theory, predicting that hard evidence of the sunken city would soon be found, and that museums around the world would one day be filled with artifacts from Atlantis. Yet over 130 years have passed without a trace of evidence. The Atlantis legend has been kept alive, fueled by the public's imagination and fascination with the idea of a hidden, long-lost utopia. Yet the lost city of Atlantis was never lost, it is where it always was, in the books of Plato.